Oh, hey, Ryan. Ready to do this?
Hey, Mazza. What are you doing on my deck at 7 a.m. in the morning?
I'm here for B2B Tonight. I figured we get an early start since it's the first show of the season.
Dude, the show doesn't start for like another 7 or 8 hours, and you're supposed to be doing it from home.
Wait, what do you mean?
It's remote. It's a live stream. I don't know why you're here. It's freaking me out.
But I thought I was supposed to be your sidekick.
You are my sidekick. You're just supposed to be my sidekick from your house. And 8 hours from now.
Oh, yeah. But this is my first time out of the house in months. Months of isolation. No access to the outside world. Civilization, hugs, clammy handshakes. Were only a memory. There were some good times, of course, like the birth of my baby boy. When he first came into this world and locked eyes, it was like a ray of sunshine shot me right in the heart. Everything stood still. Time, space. Ow! Ow!
Go home.
How'd you get a snowball up there?
Don't worry about it.
Well, I'm already here. Can I just do the show in another room?
No. You need to go home, Mazza.
Okay. I'm thirsty. Do you mind if I come inside and just grab a juice box?
Get the off my porch.
Broadcasting live from unknown remote locations and not their parents' basements. It's B2B Tonight with Ryan O'Hara and John Mazza, featuring special guest, the co-founder of RevGenius, Jared Robin. And now, everybody welcome our host, Ryan O'Hara.
Hello, everyone. Waving as the queen waves, I guess, because that's the way I'm trying to do things today. I think in a lot of ways I want to be the queen of prospecting. It's something that I'm striving to do in the sales world. We got a really exciting show. Welcome to season 2. We've ramped up our production a little bit. We're getting some bangers this year that are going to be really cool for BB Tonight. Not that we didn't have bangers last year, but it's going to be life-changing. We're going to go through a bunch of stuff with sales, learn best practices, stuff about B2B in general. Like we might even get some guests on here this year. Who really knows? The scheduler is crazy. Speaking of the scheduler, we have a new sidekick. He doesn't quite look like Rishi or act like Rishi, but nah, he's basically Rishi 2.0. We patched Rishi, made it better. Everyone say hi to John Mazza. What's up, Mazza?
Hey, what's going on? I wouldn't call myself better than Rishi. Other people would, but I wouldn't.
No, but it's okay. It's okay. I love Rishi, obviously, like a cousin, not like a brother or sister, but like a cousin. But you and I go way back, and we've been working together for like half a decade now, right?
Just about, yeah, a little over 4 years, and we've known each other even longer than that.
Yeah. So we've got a really cool show for you tonight. We're going to go through and talk about a lot of stuff involving community building today. Reason is because if you're a rep that's out there and you're not participating in communities that are in your space, I'm not just talking about stuff that's like in the sales world. I mean, like outside of sales, the communities that your buyers are on, you're completely missing out and you're blowing a huge opportunity. And we're going to teach you some stuff. And rather than like have just us babble about this stuff, I'll tell some stories that I've gone through with some success with it. Mazza will tell some stories. We thought, let's get someone cool. So what we're going to do, I'm going to run a real quick ad, and we're going to be right back with Jared Robin from RevGenius. I'm really excited about this. Are you excited, Mazza?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I love Jared.
I will note Rishi's in this ad, so he's not here anymore, but Rishi represents us in here. He does have acting chops. Let's see it.
Hey, Rishi, what's wrong?
Well, hey, Ryan, I just feel sick today.
Why do you feel sick? What's going on?
I'm just not hitting my numbers, man. It's just, no one's responding to me. None of my prospects are calling me back. No one just wants to talk to me.
I might have something for you. Here, try 2 of these.
What are those?
That's LeadIQ. That'll help you with prospecting so that you can make a good first impression with your prospects and reach out to them without sacrificing sales activity. Hopefully you feel better.
I'm starting to, Ryan.
Ask your doctor about LeadIQ.
Man, that was some great acting, wasn't it, Mazza?
I am in awe.
Me too. All right, everyone, say hi to Jared Robin. Do you want to plug a little bit about the chat while Jared's getting on screen? Mazza?
Yeah. So we have a chat. Please ask your questions. Plenty of Q&A going on today. So feel free to ask the question in the chat, and we'll do our best to make sure we answer it for you.
All right, Jared, you want to say hi to everybody? What's up?
Hey, everybody. I'm Jared. Nice to meet you all. Happy to be here. And I realized I should have black tied it. Feeling very Joaquin Phoenix, like I'm giving up Community.
I like that. You need the sunglasses though, and you got to basically like you're not underdressed. We're supposed to be the snappy ones because we're presenting people to you and teaching the world about the wild world of Jared Robin. Do you want to tell people about RevGenius really quick and like your story a little bit?
Yeah.
Like I love the backstory of this. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So I'm a co-founder of RevGenius along with Galen Gramai. We founded RevGenius roughly June 2020. That's when we opened the Slack, but it really started a month before. And I personally was out of work looking for my next job. And at the beginning of COVID, we didn't really have much support. Team that with seeing all of these webinars left, right, and in the middle, from multiple SaaS companies, other clubs and communities, et cetera. And it was just like a fragmented space of lots of things happening, no organization, and nobody that had my back. And, originally we wanted to create like an aggregated platform for all of those events. And we thought it might look like Eventbrite for sales and marketing. And that seemed to be a good idea. But we quickly realized that the power was in community because we're like, how do we build this without having any developing chops? And that looked like a list of all of what we thought were the best sales marketing events on a Google sheet, and about 40 or 50 people in a LinkedIn group that we met like while we were trying to learn this new personal branding thing that has caught the LinkedIn world by storm, and realized that the power was in the people and not the events per se. There's a ton of power in the events, don't get me wrong, but the community intertwined us. Like we were breaking the LinkedIn app on a daily basis because we were sharing back and forth so much stuff and so much love. And we went to Slack, haven't looked back, and really doubled down on our mission, which is to educate, empower, and inspire revenue professionals. When we were building the community, like we took a step back and we looked at some of the clubs and communities that were already out, and we saw an opportunity. We saw an opportunity in having what we called, a true, and not saying that others aren't true, but like a really empathetic, open, diverse, inclusive, equitable group of people. It didn't feel like that was out there. So we execute on this hypothesis, and we're here today, about to hit 11,000 members.
So one thing that's really important, I think, that people don't realize that we're trying to tell you is like, hey, Jared started a community. Everybody in the sales space knows about RevGenius at this point. If you haven't, shame on you. I like that you came to this thing and signed up, and I'm shaming you, but anyone can do it, right, Jared? Like if you're selling into a different space, there's totally a need for a community in all these different spaces, right?
Yeah, and it's funny. I was talking before this call about community that may not exist in brand with a potential company that we might partner with. They wanted to launch their own community. There's tons of communities out there, some of which you realize and you're a part of, some of which you need to search out for. But how we look at community and our values align with that. The first value is community is family. And I think that's a big differentiator what we're doing. And whenever I talk to people that are building communities, I throw that, onto their plate as well. Having everybody's back is important. Like from a community standpoint, you could go to Reddit, you could go to Facebook groups, and there's definitely some of that camaraderie. In general, micro communities, smaller communities away from the beaten path exist for so many things, and you should search them out.
So you've built these communities up. You have a lot of people that have joined RevGenius. How the hell did you do it? Like, how many members do you guys have? How'd you get so many people to sign up in such a short amount of time? And they're obviously getting a ton of value. I've heard nothing but good things about the community, but you have to start from zero. How'd you guys build it?
You know, it's funny. Galen used to call me like a machine because that was like an old nickname I had because I really went out and you know, without giving too much of the secret sauce, you know what's funny and interesting when you're building a community, everybody's like, oh, you're at 11,000, all of this. You have to realize it starts with one. Bringing on one person. That could be a friend. That could be a new friend. That could be somebody that you met, you know, in chat, in a webinar, etc. And then just start expanding your network. When you build it one at a time, it feels like a daunting task, but that's how you truly build a community. You're not supposed to scale super fast. We all want to, but community is kind of the antithesis of that. You can scale an email list, but can you scale that 120? Not before building a really good foundation. You know, I have spoken to a majority of people in our community, even if it was like a one-liner, which is pretty crazy and cool.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the things that sets RevGenius apart from any other community that I've been a part of, like I've been a part of many different Slack communities, is the passion that all of the members have about the community. So how the heck did you make such a community where everybody's so passionate about it?
That question is asked quite a bit, and I love it because, you know, I always joke, how can you scale empathy? If you're an individual that has empathy and you bring on 5 or 10 friends, okay, yeah, you could lead by example. But what happens when you bring on 5 or 10,000? How does that continue? And how do you get people to do it? I think what it comes down to is everybody at their core is a person that's good and wants to do good, right? Like some people naturally execute on that using a business term there. And some people need a little reminder or a little guidance. And so, you know, it starts with community is family. It was important for us for our first value to be that, to really set the stage. And then it's about how you act around others. Every Wednesday, and it's more than every Wednesday, every day, I meet with community members and try to get people work. Meet with people and try to be selfless. And when people ask what they could do in return, just say, carry our flag. But you don't have to. Like, if something aligns with you, support it. And if it doesn't, don't. I'm going to keep giving you and everybody I see bounce passes and try to spend as much one-to-one time as needed with people that ask me for my time. Not exactly the most scalable, but it is how you scale that feeling and all of that.
Speaking of scalable, how did you begin to start growing your community? Did you send out like cold emails? Was it just through like LinkedIn social posts? Tell us about how you actually started that process.
Y'all are trying to milk for the future LeadIQ data community, right? But
no, of course not.
So like, so how it's by building connections, one-to-one connections and asking people, right? Mass email. You know, I remember I once sent 100 emails to test this with what I thought was like a decent email. You know, I shout out, you know, some people with some of their frameworks. I forget which framework I used in particular. I don't know if it was Christina F with the FIRE framework or some others, but I got 0 members. I'm like, this is not good. I could have tried to do 1,000, but I'm like, no, I actually tested that after we got to a certain point. I'm like, how could I scale this even faster? So I remember sending 100 emails all to the same company, you know, just using another data scraping tool in the space. And I'm like, F that, I'm not going to waste my credits. I'm going to hold on to this. This isn't the way to do it. The way to do it is, reach out on social, have others fly the flag, so to speak. You see the post all over LinkedIn, have a decent referral program and stuff like that.
Yeah, one thing I really admired, I got reached out to you by you guys too early on. Also, I remember seeing that. I think
it was me, probably, right? It wasn't by us guys. Yeah. I think it was me.
No, it was someone. It was someone that was a member already, actually. But
cool.
One of the things that, one of the things that I noticed that is really magical about it is, if you're listening to this, your pipeline could be affected by having something like a community that you're either part of or you're. It's not just joining a sales community, which everyone that's watching this should just go join RevGenius. It's not just that. It's being part of a community for your buyer that you're in. So if you sell the IT or network services, you could do something where, like, I'm going to go after someone. I'm going to join a little group of this. I remember when I was a BDR, I'd sell to companies, mainly system admins, network admins, and stuff. We were going after companies that were in the Alexa 5,000, meaning top 5,000 websites based on traffic. This is years ago. I started a LinkedIn group called the DNS High Roller Society with a couple other SDRs on my team. And we basically would have a great conversation with someone. And I'd say at the end of the call, hey, I'm going to add you to this LinkedIn group. No sales reps besides us. It's just people that work in networking if you ever want to get some best practices and stuff. And what's great is they get familiar with your name, which will impact your open rates, your response rates, your call rates, all that stuff. And that's kind of like how I started it. And then eventually what was happening is members were inviting other members of Alexa 5,000 websites into the network also. And then I would use that and send them a welcome email. And you could do this stuff without buying a bunch of fancy marketing stuff. Like, you can legit do this with like a sales engagement platform, like LinkedIn. You can use LeadIQ. You can combo those things together and make it part of your prospecting step to build a nurture and a pipeline. I mean, one of my favorite stories you told me, Jared, a couple weeks ago is that, like, you guys have deals come to you and you don't go seek them. They just come to you, right?
Yeah, I don't have time for outbound. Founder sales are coming to us. So, so blessed. I'm so grateful. I've been an early stage sales rep before, first seller at companies, and it doesn't happen. But also, we put a lot of work into the product, the community before, right? So that's an important takeaway. But yeah, people see what's going on. People see the power of community. When we announce one sponsor, maybe a competing one will say, hey, we want that to be us too. That's happened before, multiple times.
Okay. So one thing, if let's say you're listening to this and you're like, I'm a little shy. I don't know if I want to start something yet. I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe you want to join a community first and kind of learn how they're doing it. How do you find the right community for you? Like, what's the right thing you should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, in general, why does one want to start a community? Right? You have to think about that. And are you doing it to try to make money? Are you doing it to try to solve a massive need? Are you doing that to be me too, like another community? Are you doing it because you think somebody's not, you want to do it for the most genuine reasons and the most authentic reasons. And you'll see genuine and authentic, two words being a trend with personal branding, with how you conduct yourself, with all of this, because it's how you should live your life, right? You're going to close more deals. You're going to get more inbounds. You're going to get more people. Your business can be more of a success. I've seen many people start and stop. And that's with entrepreneurship in general, but with communities, you have people looking for your help and your guidance. And if you stop, you don't give that, right? Now, I think everybody should join communities, as many as you want, as many as you need. Like, I'm part of communities even, which is super helpful, like of community leaders. And pick out what you need. Pick out the spaces that you're in. Now, what's important is the same selling tactics that you're trying on LinkedIn and email and cold call You need to finesse more. You can't use the same ones in community. If you're spraying and praying, we've all seen those ads. The people blowing those people's spots up. Stop shaming SDRs. I think we could all agree on that. But if you're taking that and you're bringing it into community, it's a double negative. Why? LinkedIn is 6 million people in sales, marketing, rev ops, right? And many more in different spaces. Our community is 11,000 people. We're going to kick you out. That's a core rule. You can't spam. So how do you get business then? Because you're going to a community to satisfy your need. Let's say you're a salesperson. You're going to a sales community. You're going either to level up, and that's a big thing. And we can't discount that. Like, learn skill sets to do better, to have better outreach, to not spray and pray, etc. You're doing that to get a job, great, or to learn how to get a promotion, amazing. And you're doing that to network, potentially to get business, cool, and finesse. Now, one anecdote which was super cool early, on like the best ways to sell, and we all want. Anybody who runs a community loves hearing that business deals got done in their community. And they love also knowing that the person that closed the deal has never been on their radar for bad play, right? Like, that there's a finesse to it. So, one anecdote in the beginning, like how to sell best. So I remember one of our members, it felt like he was about to launch into a pitch early. And I sent him a one-on-one on the side. I said, it feels like this is what you're about to do. Like revving up for it, like just said, hey, who here has this about to plug? So in between, I'm like, my suggestion is don't do that. If you're looking to just say, hey, who here needs better data scraping or better integration with all your no-code stack, that's clear that something's coming, right? Like, let me guess. You provide better integration with my no-code stack. Wild guess. Yeah. How'd you know? It's obvious. We're all homies. Be a homie. Do you ever say that to your homie? So, like, if you're with your homie, right, and you get introduced to a potential prospect, how are you going to act? You're going to say, hey, Joe, do you know about that no-code? The funny thing is, people actually do that. Most people won't, but those people never get the business. So bringing it back, I said, instead of saying, do you have this or do you need this? Again, let's go back to authentic and genuine. Hey, y'all, I'm having challenges finding clients in my ICP. Is anybody open to showing me the way? And you know what happens? You get a lot of people that are interested in showing you the way, and maybe even some people that actually buy from you. When you're authentic and honest and like that. And that's a huge takeaway. And so that gentleman, pivoted, and his whole business took a whole new trajectory, like a really, really good one. And he's really excited. And he had a lot of good, fruitful conversations. That's one example. So go into the communities, but also be conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of two things. The first thing I was going to say is it reminds me of when before COVID, you'd go to conferences and people would go on stage and they'd pitch their product or they'd pitch your service. And it's like, you have 30 to 60 minutes that you paid for to show people that your company knows their shit. And you're going to use that time to elevator pitch everyone in the room. And you know what happens? You see everyone walk out of the room as the talk goes on longer. And it's not offering insight. It's not teaching someone something. Another one that actually I've noticed too is you'll also see people that join communities and stuff. I actually learned this from Richard Harris about 2 years ago. I saw him do a talk about this. He talked about Ben Franklin used to have all these people that were rivals of his that like he would be pissed off with and they wouldn't like him. And Ben Franklin ran a community of libraries around the United States. The first library ever in the United States that was public was founded by Ben Franklin. And he used to go around to all these people that he'd meet that didn't like him or he knew they didn't like him. And he'd be like, hey, I heard you have a really cool book collection. Can I borrow a couple books for the library? And I'll read them and I'll give them back to you in a little while, but like, I'll give you some books in exchange. And what ended up happening was Ben Franklin asking these people for favors actually made them like him more and they became friends. And He wrote about this, I guess, that like asking people for favors and asking for advice. People like giving advice. It's like a natural thing that humans want to do.
Yeah, and let me take it from a different standpoint, right? Okay, so that's one hand, and do it. Do the Ben Franklin thing. Brilliant. Richard Harris, awesome person, awesome seller, awesome human. But let's say you enter a community and you're sharp, right? And I know LeadIQ is my perfect prospect. You're right in my ICP. You're right in my sweet spot. And would you know it?
Yep.
Ryan and John are here, and Ryan is who I need to speak to. This happens, right? And this is the anecdote with the folks that have spent more than a year and a half in sales, right? Like this is more frequently the case. So do I go to Ryan? I say, hey, Ryan, you know, I noticed A, B, and C. Like, sure, that's better than just saying, hey, Ryan, pitch a product. But how do you really have success? How do you really have success? And what's the idea of giving value? Am I going to send Ryan a perspective or show you how we helped other companies? The answer is many people don't. Like that might work for the off chance that he's in the market. What I'm going to do is, in my community, I want Ryan to be a sponsor. I'm going to give that dude so many bounce passes. Every time somebody's saying, who's the best tool in the space? Bounce pass. Hit you up. Ryan, did you see where I tagged you? You're going to get on the meeting. And then eventually, you know what's going to happen? Ryan's going to be like, dude, can we chat? Now, here's the key. It's not doing it and then saying, hey, Ryan, you know, I gave you 5. Did I buy your meeting yet? You know, that's okay. Like Ryan probably will, but he's going to feel a certain kind of way. If I just keep giving bounce passes and then he goes, Jared, are you ready to meet? And what if I said this? What if I go, not yet? I still owe you a few more. Bounce back. Like he's going to be like, holy shit. Who is this guy? Like this guy's putting points on my board, hasn't asked me for anything. I asked him for time. He said not yet because he wanted to put more points on. If nothing else, I want to keep Jared around. And you know what's going to happen? Ryan's going to probably introduce me to more people. And you know, it's a whole different frame. And so definitely do that in communities. If you do what you do in communities, think about this. Communities require some takeaways. It requires a little extra finesse. In general, you're not going to do that on LinkedIn. Well, why not? Do it on LinkedIn. So if you do it on a place where people are more callous, don't you think you're going to break down those walls? Imagine that. Crazy. And so you're just, you know, we got to create like a new sales strategy called like the acronym being HOMIE instead of ANT. We'll figure that out, but you get the idea.
We have Ryan talking about Ben Franklin giving people books and he wouldn't even give me a juice box this morning. So
yeah, you shut your mouth.
That was a great clip.
So you know what? So one thing that I was thinking about too, building off that a little bit. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, what do I do? What am I thinking about here? Another thing you could do also is you're in deals all the time, right? Whether you're a BDR, SDR, AE, VP, whatever the hell your title is, you know what's going on in your space. I think it's actually a good idea to like give information about stuff that you know about your space. I remember early on, let's say I'm thinking about another community that someone's in and I see someone post a question about like, hey, who should I be using for data or who should I be using for integrations or something? I could, the normal thing that a rep would do would be like, oh man, I'm getting my bib. I got my fork and knife. I'm going to start selling on this thing. Don't. Here's the thing you also can do. Here's the other thing you can do that's a real pattern interrupt. When you're participating in communities and stuff, talk about your competitors and say positive things about them. Like, don't crap on them either. I used to do that all the time. Like, if someone saw a post and was like, hey, I'm looking for a way to get lead data into Salesforce, and I could plug LeadIQ, but like, I know there's other companies out there that do stuff like LeadIQ. I'm going to mention them. I'm going to mention stuff about like, yeah, this is what we see in this space. I see this company, this company, this company, this company. These are the ones we usually see in our space that you're going to want to go look at. And what ends up happening is they'll message you thanking you, and you'll drive the RFP if it's a larger company, if you're the one that introduced all these people that can be in the bake-off. And the person that drives the RFP has a way higher chance of actually closing the deal than these other people that come in later in the funnel or into the race of making
100% right. 100% right. Let me break it down even simple. Like, do that. That's great. Make sure you do it with a picture on your profile and your company there. If I had $1 for every person that doesn't have a picture or their company, I have 11,000 people in the community, I'd probably have $2,500. Like no joke. Like, come on, y'all. Like those are real numbers. That's real money in my pocket. And that's a big thing. We were on revenue jobs or quick plug or we're building out the jobs function. RevGenius revenue jobs is Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Spot on Clubhouse where we're helping people get jobs, and somebody comes to the stage looking for work without a picture and without a bio, and a recruiter that we actually partner with because he's so amazing. I was like, yo, we need to see you. I need to see if you're the same person as on LinkedIn. And think about that. Everybody's living on LinkedIn. Are you the same person? Jared Robin on LinkedIn shouldn't be Jared Austin, my middle name, in Slack. Shouldn't be Jared because I got the Jared, right? Like the only Jared. You should be the same person because people are going to qualify you, and they're going to probably go to LinkedIn and or Google and maybe Clubhouse and other networks. Who knows? But other community platforms. Be consistent, y'all. Like if you're giving all this info and you're just Ryan, period, with no picture, maybe he writes like data master or something, people are going to think you're not getting invited to that bake-off.
You know what? If you actually think about it too, from like a tech perspective, how old are you, Jared?
38.
Okay, I'm 33. You know what it actually reminds me of is like, do you remember when MySpace came out? Like, one of the things I think that
Unfortunately,
MySpace
yes.
completely bought. Yeah, me too. Wild times, guys, wild times. But one of the things I remember about MySpace, people forget that like for a couple of years, that's like what you were using and stuff. One of the things I think that MySpace really botched was like when they made their community and their online stuff, most people didn't use their real information. Like they'd use a username or a nickname or something. And I think one of the reasons that Facebook got so much traction so quickly was because they wouldn't let you do that. They would delete your profile if you did that. It's because humans want to talk to humans. They don't want to talk to aliases and like anonymous people all the time. If they do, it's on Reddit, which is fine. But like, there's a time and place for that.
Or
like,
is it?
In the business world, you need your name and your reputation.
But MySpace lets you change
Understood.
your background. Let you customize.
LinkedIn lets you change. LinkedIn lets you change your background. Plug it in with Canva. You're good. But
There you go.
Reddit, I heard something interesting. Reddit's value is like $6 billion, which is great, but like Reddit's bigger than that, right? Like, do you think that the not having names hurts because a lot of people are hiding behind aliases and throwing tons of shade, and it's just not a safe place? Always a safe place to get good information, a safe place to qualify the information you get, a safe place to not be attacked. And granted, there's got to be tact everywhere. But when you have your name attached to your profile, you're a little more accountable.
Yeah, I actually, if I hear information on Reddit, I definitely am. I'm pretty active on Reddit. I've been on there for over a decade now, almost. And I'll tell you this, I have that under eyelid that goes up like almost skeptical when I read some things, and I'll go look for stuff to back it up afterward because it's not attached to a name. And we're seeing that on social media today too, with like fake news and misinformation being spread also. But the difference is in the business world, especially on LinkedIn and places like that, if you don't have a name, you lose that trust, and that's a big part of this also. It's really, that's the thing about a community is like, you're the founder, co-founder of this community with thousands of people in it, but you also have established trust by doing stuff to give more than take, and it's the same thing you need to do in sales. You have to find ways to give to your prospects and your people in your pipeline too. If you have an open op already, find ways to do things for them to make their life easier, even if it doesn't have to do with the deal.
100%. And I think these transcend the principles of business and go to the principles of life, karma, just doing right by others, watching the universe open for you. The one challenge being not being devil's advocate on it, because there's no doubt the formula works. The one challenge for reps is a month has 30 days, a quarter has 90. And if they're giving for 2/3 and not seeing the results, they're not going to hit their numbers. And then their whole idea of giving, now they're going to have to go into the micromanaged by their manager who doesn't buy into the giving thing, is in the community for the old school ways and all of that. And the cycle continues. How about that?
Yeah. Do you have any tips, Jared, on, I know you let things organically.
You just have to transcend. Yeah.
Do you have any tips on like finding a way to get the create almost some sort of action with these people? Like, is there any way that you can do that organically, or is it something that just like happens because it happens? Like, not ask, like, is there anything you can do that like scratches a little bit of a hint that like, hey, I sell this? Like, is there some way to do that?
You're at a cocktail hour, right? With all potential buyers. And the reason why they're there with the sellers is because they feel safe that they're not going to be sold. So if they didn't feel safe, would they show up at the next cocktail hour? That's the finesse, right? So if there's a way to get into conversation without being salesy, that's always preferred. Yeah. And frankly, it's tough. It's certainly tough. It's a finesse. I've definitely asked people to move processes forward, with dealing with potential sponsors, which is our top business model. But it's mostly because I have other sponsors knocking on the door. And I'm not the type to say, hey, this person's going to close, like whatever. I just typically say, hey, can we get started next month? And then if it keeps going, then the other person comes on, even though I was trying to hold the space. But I digress. It's a gentle finesse, and you do it by giving first, always, and then eventually be like, hey, I just want to throw my company on your radar. Is that cool?
Yeah. One thing one thing I keep thinking about that could increase your chances of scratching a little bit more is also frequency. So like, if I'm in RevGenius and I'm making content frequently and putting it out there on RevGenius for people, and it's not about LeadIQ, and someone else might be doing the same thing in whatever space you sell into. Maybe you're in a marketing group and you sell marketing technology. If I frequently put something there, you're going to make that person more top of mind, so that when you're doing your outreach in a different channel, it's less sketchy. Like, you're not doing it through the community, you're doing it through email and cold calling, or you're doing it through like, hey, Bob, I'm trying to break in. I know we do this thing together. Like, if you have that frequency, that recognition will be easier for you with breaking in without you directly selling to that person.
So yeah, I agree. And what we've done with our community, we realize that sellers need to get business. Okay. Plain and simple. We also realize that they don't necessarily need to be, to get it from our community, to hit their number, to blow their numbers out, etc. So instead of saying, hey, this is how you should move around RevGenius to hit your numbers, we have different clubs underneath, like Rev League, where we're literally pairing sponsors with other sponsors, like giving a complete tech stack, like Connect and Sell, Sales Intel, plus Wingman, etc. Where And we have two awesome co-heads that are helping, that are like SDR managers, sales coaches, et cetera, that are helping like the SDR function literally get more meetings outside the community. One person went from 1 to 5 meetings a week. Dope. Sick. So they leveled up and they didn't have to annoy people, right? Like, come on. If for $0 you could go from 1 to 5 meetings a week, let me see your comp plan. I'll tell you exactly what it's worth for you. It's worth something. I promise that. And then you have other things. So I think running the community and how we, and this is great that this came to me so often. It's like, tell us how to sell in a community. Well, I could tell you what not to do. I could tell you how you should do, but it was important for us to realize as a sales and revenue community, we get it. You need to hit your numbers. You need to bring in revenue for your company, for yourself, for your family. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And we also need to protect this. We also need to have this cocktail party of all these people that you could potentially sell to, but get them to come back, right? Like the finesse of having a webinar that use the anecdote earlier. You get on stage, you just pitch. Well, what if I got on stage and I just helped everybody, or like even better, come to the community. We're going to help you get more meetings, not get kicked out of the community, offer you tons of value, help you put points on the board. What does that mean for you? Meetings, business, job, promotion, hiring somebody. We've got all that covered. We don't have to exploit our members to get there. And we don't have to
it's like people
anybody.
are just naturally
the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people are just naturally going to go ahead and look up your company on their own and then ask you about what you do and how you can help them out. It's kind of funny how that works, right?
Yeah, it's tremendous. Like we could literally throw your whole SDR team, and I'm not plugging, although the people that might be listening are like plug, because we have a good support system. But we could literally put them in there, plug them into like an ambition tool, and let them compete. And we're giving people free lunches. What? Shouldn't they mad? We're helping everybody level up, and we're teaching them best practices, and we're doing all this so that when they go out there, they're better sellers versus, just finesses around community. That, how to sell within your community, it's like a hacky question that like, let's just tell you how to sell. Let's teach you how to sell, period. Because then you're going to come in any room that you're in and blow it out because people are going to want to be around you.
And I have a question too, because I joined RevGenius like right from the go. I think I was like one of the first top 100 or something like that people that were in the community. And recently I've seen like micro communities being built, and I just joined like the Boston chapter. Like, what would you say? Talk about like a little bit more about the importance of these micro communities, other communities that you've seen built within RevGenius and things like that.
That was important for us to do and get ahead of it. We saw, and when I say get ahead of it, I mean foster it, right? Because if we didn't foster it, people are going to do what they're going to do. But we realized that there's tremendous value to do it within the bigger community, because there's tons of resources we could help, et cetera, et cetera. Like when Galem and I got onto Clubhouse, and there's the question on Clubhouse, is it the best community? Well, Clubhouse is a platform for multiple communities. It seems to be one of the more popular ones now. But anyway, I think it was like October, maybe even before. We're like, let's take this clubs thing out of here. Let's build this in RevGenius. I really like this. I got some inspiration. And of course, December 26th, when the floodgates opened and everybody got in, everybody else saw it too. But we used that for inspiration because we realized that what happens, the question was, what happens when a micro community becomes too big to be a micro community and satisfy everybody? Well, the answer is there's going to be a lot of unsatisfied folks. And how can you still use the core values, the ICP, et cetera, and give people more structured, smaller groups within, whether it's the Boston chapter, content club, within their Rev Data Club, Rev League, etc., to do that, and people are taking to it, and that's cool. And you have three main job functions as well: sales, marketing, rev ops, and then you could say customer success and stuff like that. But sales, marketing, rev ops are the prime ones. So right away, you have three potentially different audiences. Sure, they want to know what the others are doing, some more than others, but right away, you need three types of content, and probably more.
And I've been seeing, I think there's some super important, like when it comes to the job postings, people are finding jobs in communities too. It's like people are posting their jobs inside these communities, and like more and more people are getting their jobs based on these communities. I think that's something that's blown up within these communities as well.
Yeah, people are getting all sorts of stuff in communities that they want in general. And RevGenius is certainly part of that equation, but not the whole. Like, communities are great. They're awesome. We, at the turn of the year, decided that the next angle we wanted to build on was, for our members, was to really strengthen the jobs function. So people are saying, some recruiters are saying, are you a recruiting platform or not now? I said, no. So we always had 7 pillars, whether it's the networking pillar, jobs, knowledge hub, mentorship, onboarding, etc. Right? We just decided this was the next one we're going to build out, and that we were going to build the best revenue jobs board on the planet. I mean, we're 2 weeks in, so it's hard to take that crown, and it's going to take a lot of work. But we wanted to double down on that, more than just an active Slack channel called job postings, more than just a Google sheet. Like, really, the first domino was having a job board, and then also, how could we have a job board that takes advantage of the power of community, like community driven? That's not like the dozens of top job boards out there, hundreds, right? Like Indeed, Glassdoor, you can name them, LinkedIn. We all know that one. How could we build that around the community? Have it of just the hiring managers posting there. I mean, I'm sure you have an exception or two, so that it's really built with the members. Tie that to the community and everything that we do. And then also, how do we take that and make it more personal? Let's look at what strengths the community has. It's being personal. Like, everybody is trusted in the community until they do something to not be, and then we'll take action. But it's defaulted that people feel really good and trust one another. So how can we really take advantage of this and help people speed up the job process from hiring to being hired? And both functions are massive, right? Like, we think about getting people work, and that's something we all have to do and strive for. But making hiring faster helps companies scale faster. All the VPs and CROs in work love that. They love that. They could get to their next playbook and their next game plan and their next round of funding faster. So it really does benefit everybody. So how do we make that happen faster? And that's like having conversations like this. So that was the idea of revenue jobs. Tie that in. That's something that LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor aren't doing, to my knowledge. And then let's double down even more. Like, that's already doing a lot, but like, how can we give more value? Let's throw in, because we're realizing people are switching spaces. We've heard that a lot lately. Like, how do I get a SaaS job not being in SaaS? I've been selling 10 plus years, 5 plus years, 20 plus years, and I want to make the move. How do we give office hours too and help that person? How do we really help that person? And doing this whole function really leverages community. It takes a hell of a lot of time on our part, but again, bounce passes all day long. No recruiting fees. Very simple business model, like $100 to post or $0 to post, depending if you want to feature it in our newsletter or not. And we're figuring it out. we've probably placed dozens of people even this year, which is pretty awesome. And now we're starting to get some attribution behind that, because attribution like helps us in so many ways. With that,
I love it. So I wanted to give everybody a heads up. We got another 10 minutes. So if you have any questions in the chat, please ask them now, and we will make sure to get to them.
Yeah, you can give him intense questions you want to ask, like what shampoo do you use? What are some other things you might ask? How did you get a picture in front of a DeLorean? Let's talk about that for a second. How did you get a picture in front of a DeLorean? I know this story is probably pretty cool.
All right, and this is a good plug for a company I ran growth for. Portion.io is the company. They're a crypto blockchain company. They have they had their STO recently, so that's a stock launching or an NFT, I should say, non-fungible token for those that know. But essentially, what Portion is a blockchain art platform. And how did I get in front of the DeLorean? I was on a work field trip to an art exhibit for Daniel Arsham, and that was part of his exhibit, that DeLorean. Why did I take a picture in front of it? Well, because it's fucking cool. Why not? And why am I using it as my why not? And then as the picture was taken, I'm like, okay, can I use this as my LinkedIn picture? And keep in mind, I wasn't an entrepreneur yet. And I looked at like the list of things, like picture taken by my CEO, check. I asked my CEO at the time, and then plus I was in art, which is a bit more creative, even though there was tons of business behind it, but like a bit more creative, et cetera. So essentially we created, or we're trying to create the Sotheby's, for lack of a better thing, or Artsy rather, on the blockchain. The difference is Artsy is all online buying of art. And recently the cool thing is they got into a partnership with Marvel. They're selling Marvel one-of-a-kind pieces of art on their platform, and it's selling out in like seconds, which is pretty dope. But yeah, that DeLorean was the Daniel Arsham exhibit.
That's pretty cool. One thing I wanted to kind of ask as we were going through a lot of this stuff, because we're getting close to the end here. What are some things you think are going to happen with communities in this year? Like, we're kind of in the second month of the year. It's looking like we're going to be remote still for probably this year. I mean, things will hopefully start to open back up in the second half of the year. Do you think that, like, are you going to take step with, do you think a lot of these things that happened in the past year online are going to start making things happen offline again? Like, what do you think's going to happen next?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I could see some people taking it offline and most people keeping it online. I think online is here to stay in a bigger way. I really do. I do think some of the more old school communities will probably go offline. I'm sure that we'll test it, like in the geographical areas, et cetera. But we have our playbook in that. What do I think will happen to communities as a whole? I think there'll be more that come up. I think that the ones that are taking the lead will get bigger, assuming that they keep executing. I think that you're going to see more acquisitions. We saw The Hustle get acquired by HubSpot. Pick no bones about it. Like, The Hustle is a community. Is it just, there's trends. There's literally a community there, right? We saw Sales Hacker a couple of years ago get acquired by a big SaaS company, Outreach. I think that's certainly one of the exit potentials. I do think community is here to stay. I think that some will get picked up in that capacity. What I'm super curious about is like the meta play. Will Salesforce and Slack do something in the community space? If you look at this is my own theory, just looking at everything on the plate. Microsoft has Teams. Okay, Salesforce has Slack now. That makes sense. Microsoft has LinkedIn. Salesforce has nothing there. Did Salesforce just buy a majority of the micro communities potentially when they bought Slack as well? Do you think Salesforce is going to potentially acquire? I mean, they could acquire 500 micro communities for sub $5 million each, have a much less big price than LinkedIn and have a much more engaged community. Think about that. Do you think they might do that? Like, is there going to be some major play like that? And then with somebody like Clubhouse, are they going to sell to Facebook? This is what intrigues me. Facebook is building their own thing? Are they doing it as like a smoke and mirrors to help with an acquisition? Is Clubhouse going to keep rocking? Is Twitter going to get any traction with theirs? That's all interesting. So communities, two things. You have the platforms that it's on. You have, which kind of intertwines with social media in like the Clubhouse way. You have your Slack platform that we're on, but then you have social media as well. And I think what it boils down to is, I think communities are going to come and go. I think those that have built community away from social platforms, they could have built it on the platform, but that they live and they interact away from social platforms will have the longest longevity, because there's going to be another social phenomenon coming. There's going to be Treehouse coming, right? Like there's going to be another Instagram 2.0, TikTok 5.0, etc. That we know for sure. Like the communities that are just built on one, are they going to disappear? When LinkedIn had their groups and that disappeared, etc. There's so much going there. Communities built away from social platforms, in my opinion, will have longer longevity.
They kind of need their own infrastructure too. They need their own infrastructure. And the thing is, you can build communities. You can do something on Slack. It's free. Before you go and do something on Slack, just remember, if you invite people, they put a cap on how many invites you can send that are accepted. So don't just go blasting your prospect list with invites. Another thing to keep in mind with communities is you can make a newsletter or something that maybe you facilitate conversation with people and feature that and put that out there. You could do that with some pretty affordable tools. It's a lot easier to do these things now than it used to be. You can do stuff with Zoom, like happy hours. You could do calls, Discord, something that you see people use sometimes too. Like There's all these different places and tools that are available that are no longer millions of dollars to purchase. You don't need to use these free social networks to do it.
There's a whole ecosystem of stacking, and there's some challenges that come from it. It's going to be an exciting year is all I'm going to say. And I look forward to learning a ton this year, because I think that's going to be where the goodies are at.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jared. We had a very, very emotional journey, I think. It was great. We got Maza in here for the first time, which was cool. Anyone that's listening to this, I just want to plug real quick. Next week on Tuesday, or it might be Wednesday, I forget what day of the week it is, but you'll see it on our stuff on social. We're going to be doing a webinar with Tito Board about selling to the enterprise. I think it's Tuesday, right, Maza? Is it Tuesday?
Yes, it's Tuesday, 2:00 Eastern time.
You should sign up for that. It's going to be cool. Tito's going to talk to us about a bunch of stuff that companies learned from that. RevGenius, how do people become members, Jared? What do you want them to do?
Go to RevGenius.com, top right, hit sign up. That's the easiest way. If you need to get in touch with me, LinkedIn, the /in/Jared Robin. Email me directly, jared@revgenius.com. I don't hide. I'm not scared.
And like that, history has been made. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Recording will be sent out in a couple hours, probably, right? Hopefully, a couple hours. Maybe tomorrow. Like hopefully, a couple hours. We'll see.
All right, we love you.
This is awesome.
Goodbye,
Thank
everybody.
you. And congratulations on fantasy football.
Woo!
Bye, Jared. Thanks, guys.